Welcome to another Sunday. Welcome to another live video brought to you by VAD Inspires. I often think about that name a lot, changing it, sticking with it, messing around with it. All right. So last time, I think I left off, and if you're new here, I'm a coach. I coach for men who are dealing with feelings of anxiety and depression. And also, this is not just people who are not capable of helping themselves. The reason that you get a coach, the reason that you get the services of a coach is not just to help fix you. It's also to optimize you. In fact, that's what 90% of my job description is optimization. Because for most people, they're doing pretty good, but something might be nagging them. They might be missing a perspective, a shift in thinking that could solve a major problem and create lasting fulfillment. That's what I'm on, because I didn't suffer from like this severe depression where I couldn't move, I couldn't think of anything else, I couldn't do other things. It was much more of a high functioning situation where I had a job, I was going to school, I was doing okay by the metrics of the average person, even more than okay. But inside me was this nagging feeling of knowing that I could do more and I wasn't doing more. So anytime the voices were too loud, screaming at me, you could do better, you could do better, the not feeling, but not from a criticism perspective, but from a realization perspective that I'm selling myself short, then it turns to psychosis even. And the psychosis sometimes don't have to be physical. Sometimes they're mental. Sometimes it becomes too hard for you to even function normally. I remember times when all I did all day was just binge watch movies, scroll mindlessly on social media, and just overeat. 3 of my destructive habits, will I say. And I find out that when I'm not doing the things that I said I'm gonna do, or when I'm just, trying to cut corners, they come crashing back. And why people around me didn't notice, I was too invested in self-improvement and self-development for it to get out of hand before I sought to help myself. Because it's called self-help, not shelf-help or people help. People can give you input, but it's ultimately up to you to decide whether you want to make a difference in your life. So the difference in my life happened when I started to pay attention to the things I was watching, the things I was listening to. And because those were curated, motivational, inspirational, find your purpose messages, it was hard for me to ignore the self-awareness that I have of myself. Because I know I'm a great speaker. I know I can understand people. I know I can ask thought-provoking questions. But what was missing was my ambition to explore these raw skills that I had. And anytime I'm not doing something, engaging in that, I find myself in trouble, in personal trouble, in spiritual trouble, in an emotional turmoil. And while the world is going on in my head, I stay act normal, just like everyone else. And I never let it get out of hand that I have to seek outside intensive help before I turn back. But of course, when I'm in the game, because of my slow progress, I tend to sell myself short. I tend to think that I'm not good enough because I don't have the following yet. I don't have the skills yet. I don't have the reputation yet. I don't have the grades yet. The it. But how do you get the it? You get the it through your toil, your hard work, engaging in the game. So it becomes this war between when I'm working, there's just a lot that I want to do and I have to do. And when I'm not working, I have to deal with the fact that I'm not working. So I chose the pain of figuring things out on the go. I chose the pain of trying to explore myself on the go. Because at the end of the day, even when I don't have all my to-do list done, I don't feel like a complete failure. I feel like I'm not being consistent. I feel like I'm inadequate to some degree, but the pressure is less because I have done something to earn at least a little bit of my rest. My whole philosophy is based on earning. You have to earn your keep. You don't just get peace of mind. You earn your peace of mind. Right? But even when you're earning your peace of mind, you still feel like you don't have peace of mind, then that's when the perspective shift can be very valuable. You know, what is it that you don't feel enough about? You know, what have you been doing? You know, what are the things what are the promises that you broken to yourself that doesn't make you feel that you can have that peace of mind? And I often think that if we can find out how to optimize, we wouldn't have to fix. In other words, if we can find out how to do things that are already working, doing them in a higher frequency, cure won't be necessary. And that's what I'm all about, the prevention before the crisis. Now, I can handle crisis, but I'm much working in prevention before the crisis. It's often said that a smart person learns from his mistakes. A wise person learns from other people's mistakes. So the mistakes other people have made, you don't have to make them again. The existence of human beings have lasted for thousands and thousands of years. There are no new truths. It's just information hidden beneath the surface. Only if you search for them that you will find. And because we can learn from other people's experience, it becomes a curiosity of a question: why do many people still fall short? It's because our mind is limited. Sometimes you need an outside person to come in. You can't see the frame when you're in the picture. You know, it's often said that even when you have a smelly mouth, you can notice it. You need someone else to tell you you have a smelly mouth. Tell you you have a smelly mouth. And I was just thinking about someone that I met that had a smelly mouth. But you need someone else to tell you that you have a smelly mouth, even when your nose is just less than an inch from your mouth. That's the value of an outside perspective. The value of seeking the outside information to understand yourself better. So that's my opening message to you, is to find a coach. Whether you intensely depressed, half depressed, just trying to figure out some things you are just wondering about, find you a coach. Because the value that you will get is out of proportion to what you will pay. And that's my message. Some people say, that's my truth and I'm speaking and I'm sticking to it. Whatever you want to do with that information. So let's always try to review my Psychology Today articles. This one is the recent issue of Psychology Today. I like the the insights it provides. And this one is for the Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder was giving an interview to Psychology Today. Wilder, this is the boxer, and he was talking about his struggles with mental health and how he got into fighting. And this is a guy that I thought was a beast. Well, I still think is a beast, even though that fight, those fights with what's his name, the white big dude, I'm blanking on his name. Anyway, it's a famous fight. If you're a boxer or you're into boxing or something like that, you'd know who it is. But I didn't see the humanity in him until I read this interview, and it was very, very eye-opening. Was a bus driver, got a girl pregnant, decided to take full responsibility for it, and then got into boxing just to make a few bucks. Before you know it, he was actually very good at it. And he talked about crying as a way to cleanse yourself. He talked about taking care of his mental health by talking to therapists. He talked about having empathy for his fellow boxers. He talked about the challenges of boxing and the risk of your own life. So this is someone who is, I didn't see that humanity part of him. I thought it was just a machine. And I think his interview was very important, and that's why I started sharing it last time, and I was reflecting on it. And I want to continue in that vein here, reflecting on that interview he did with Psychology Today. So the interview, I stopped last time at the crying as a cleansing method. Now I want to start up with the fact that he was talking about meditation. The interviewer asked, "You built a meditation room in your house. What is your practice like?" It's like, "Meditation gives me clarity and confirmation. It humbles me. I like to use meditation with visualization. Say I want to win a race, an obstacle course. So I'm visualizing how I want this course to go. I know that there is a corner right there, right here, and a step right there. You plan how you want to do it, so when you actually get ready to run the race, it's almost like you've done it before." Wow. I also use meditation for this. I use meditation to calm myself, to center myself, to master my breathing, because I tend to, or actually many people just like me, I tend to fly off the handle at an emotional reaction. And I found out that if I had just taken a deep breath, like I would have given a second for my rationality to step in, and then I don't have to respond in the way that I would have responded if I hadn't taken the deep breath. In these meditative states that I do 5 minutes every day, I often find myself, sometimes I drift off. But for the most time, I'm present, I'm there, and I find myself feeling more calm, responding with more empathy, using more of my soft people skills instead of trying to emotionally react to a situation. And I want to keep doing that. And part of what helps me do that is to understand that a calm heart and a clear head is often the key to breakthrough. Some people like working with chaos. I think most people can benefit from working with calmness and meditative states. Not vegetative states, meditative states. Not being meek and docile states. Being purposeful and living with intent and controlling their lives. And sometimes I find people who come from a perspective of trying to get the world to change, to fit into their feelings, trying to get the world to think differently about themselves, trying to put most of the solutions outwards instead of inwards. that's not my philosophy. My philosophy is what you can do. My philosophy is where can we start with yourself? What can you do? Because 90% of your problem will be solved with your actions. And why there is the external frustration, you'll be better able to handle the external frustration if you can handle the internal frustration. And that internal frustration you can handle better when you meditate, when you calm yourself, when you learn how to control your breathing. Because the body and the mind are connected, interconnected in many ways that are sometimes incomprehensible to understand. Isn't it interesting? There's a part of your brain that will be removed. You won't be able to speak again. But you don't see the speech in the brain matter, in the physical structure. But you remove that structure, you lose your speech. You lose your language. And that's the connection between what you can see and what you cannot see, and how that plays a role in forming you. So meditation is definitely important. And I think building a meditation room, it's a dedication to meditation. I've been thinking my house, I want it to be one is going to be a gym room, one is going to be a study room, one is going to be my study room / my meditation room. There'll be a section for meditation in the study room. And then I have my gym room. I want to add a music room too, because I'm musical. I have these ambitions that if I work diligently now and be consistent, I would thank myself for doing these videos. I would thank myself for trying, at least. And some people fail to try, and then they fail by default. But anyway, let's continue with this interview here. It says, is that part of how you prepare for a fight? Wilder answered, when I'm in the ring, there might be thousands of people in the audience, but because of my meditation practice, I'm able to zone out everybody. It's like smoke. Only I can see that blocks out everything else, and that gives me a peace of mind. A lot of things have lined up for me due to the exercise I put on my mind, exercise of my brain. You've spoken about battling depression earlier in your life. What do you do to ward off and find happiness? First, I want to reflect on the previous one briefly, because he talks about zoning out, and I know this zone out method. When you're in the zone, it's like nothing else matters. It's like you're in a light trance, like you're hypnotized to do something, and you're focused and you're driven and you're just there, in tune, in sync, and the outside noises cannot even bother you. I don't know if you've seen Creed. At the final battle, he was fighting with his childhood friend. He zoned out the crowd. He zoned out the crowd, and when they were fighting in the ring, you couldn't hear any noise. It was just both of them hitting each other, zoned into what they were doing. That's how it is to be in the zone. That graphic image that was shown in that movie at that scene is like when you're in the zone, both in boxing or in doing another activity where you are a professional at, or where you are trying to be a professional at. You just zone out. So you're like, you could walk for hours without thinking about food or drink. Because you are in the zone. And I wish that for you, to find yourself in the zone. That would be because of your fucking zone. I don't cuss. Sparingly I do when I'm trying to make a point, like what I did a second ago. But that's it. Finding himself in the zone, meditation helps him to do that. And I think it helps me to do that too. And I think it could help you do that too. And talking about depression and finding happiness, he said, it can be hard to love yourself. I still have my emotional roller coaster. Sometimes I still feel like I'm not doing enough. One thing I learned is not to let people throw emotional garbage at you, because it will soak in. You start to think, I can't do that. I'm not good. Some people think having all this money is the prototype for happiness, but they're mistaken. I came to a realization that I don't need to have all these materialistic things. All I need to be happy is simplicity, to be able to sleep, to eat, to take care of my family. Wow, that was a very spirited interview that I would want to check out further on. This one is talking about tracking your partner, the trust issues. Should you cyber track your partner? No. Well, I'm not in a relationship, so we'll skip that a little bit for now. Said women are more likely to cybertrack because of evolutionary reasons, like having to invest more in a relationship than men are. I don't know how true that is. Anyway. Trying to find another mind expanding information to share with you. I think this is coming to the conclusion of our life here. Still looking through to find out. When to trust your intuition. Oh well, I think most of these things here are more of a personal read than a shareable information. So subscribe to Psychology Today. It has some pretty good insights on the mind and understanding people, but I often wonder if it is more valuable to. Now I lost my train of thought. Anyway, Psychology Today, important magazine if you want to understand more about yourself, the world, and the nature of people in general. That's it for that one. And this book is the next one on my list that I want to talk about. It's one of the best books I've ever read. On habits. And I want to talk about this last point, if I can find it. This point. It's called the 3 layers of behavior change. 3 layers of behavior change. How to get behavior change outcomes. It talks about the first layer, which is changing your outcome. Most of the goals we set are associated with this level: losing weight, trying to publish a book, winning a championship. We set a goal to do something, right? The second layer is changing your process. This level is concerned with changing your habits, your systems, implementing a new routine. Like, when I lose weight, you start going to a gym. When I publish a book, think about your topic, make an outline, brainstorming. You're trying to be more calm, you develop a meditation practice. And then the deepest level is the identity change. This is concerning with the level of changing your attitude, changing your belief, changing your judgment about yourself and other people. And most beliefs and assumptions and biases you hold are associated with this level. And he put it in short sentences: outcomes are about what you get, process is about what you do, and identity is about what you believe. He says when it comes to building habits that last, when it comes to building a system of 1% improvement, the problem is not that one level is better or worse than another. All levels of change are useful in their own way. The problem is the direction of the change. Wow. Many people begin the process of changing their habits by focusing on what they want to achieve. This leads us to outcome-based habits. The alternative is to build identity-based habits. With this approach, we start by focusing on who we wish to become. That's the point I want to talk about in this closing. Who we wish to become. Whenever you're trying to lose weight, who are you trying to become? Don't think about what you're trying to do. Think about what you're trying to become. The level of your thinking is directly proportional to the level of the results you're going to get. And getting the results is not the key. Keeping the results is the key. Because you can try to lose weight. After you lose the weight, you're going to ask yourself, what else is there? And you get back the same weight because you're not trying to become someone different. You're trying to attain something. You're in a rat race. You're not chasing an identity. You're chasing an outcome. Once you get that outcome, anything else is fair game. So if you're trying to become less depressed, the goal is not just to say, I want to stop my thinking, my depressive thinking. I want to change everything about the way I think and the way I see things. It's to think about who you're trying to become. Who is your role model? What are you trying to accomplish? And what would that make of you when you accomplish that? Because that's what's going to sustain you when you pull yourself through with your willpower. What's going to sustain you to maintain the same habit is what you're trying to become, not what you're trying to achieve. It's how you see yourself. It's your identity, your inner voice that tells you who you are. When that voice is screaming at you all the negative things you don't want to think about yourself, when you change what you do to match to in your voice, that's the key. And that's what I want to talk about in this closing. And that has been the key to my recent approach to life. Think about, what am I becoming? It's not what am I getting. It's not what am I doing. Who am I becoming? So with that, thank you, Salestro Suzulo, for checking in, coming in, checking out the live, and thanks for watching, guys, and follow for more to stay inspired.